Hey everyone, it's Arun, and welcome back to my channel. Now, let me ask you something. Do you ever struggle with speaking English fluently? Do you find yourself getting tongue-tied or feeling nervous when you have to speak in English? You're not alone. So many English learners I talk to tell me that speaking confidently is their biggest challenge. But guess what? Speaking fluent and confident English is totally achievable. And the best part is, you don't need to be an English grammar expert to do it. In this video, I'm going to share some simple, but super effective techniques that I've used myself and with my students to help you speak English more fluently and confidently. Because let's face it, English is like this global language passport, right? Whether you need it for work, for travel, or just to connect with people from all over the world, being able to speak English confidently makes a huge difference. By the end of this video, you'll have some practical tips that you can start using right away to improve your fluency, overcome that hesitation, and start feeling like you can really own your English conversations. Are you ready to get fluent? Let's do this. Alright, let's dive right into the first tip, and trust me, this one is a game changer. The key to unlocking true fluency is to start thinking in English. Now I know what you might be thinking. Arun, that sounds easier said than done. But hold on, hear me out. Many English learners get stuck in the habit of translating everything in their heads from their native language to English. And while that might seem helpful at first, it actually slows you down. It creates this mental roadblock that prevents you from speaking naturally and spontaneously. So how do you break free from the translation trap? Start small. Instead of translating entire sentences, begin by thinking in single English words. Look around the room you're in right now. What do you see? Instead of thinking the name of that object in your native language, try thinking of it in English. Chair, table, lamp, window. See, you're already thinking in English. As you get more comfortable with single words, start forming simple sentences in your head. For example, instead of thinking, I need to go to the store later, think, I'll go shopping later. The more you practice thinking directly in English, the more natural it will become. It's like building a mental muscle. At first it might feel a bit strange or even challenging, but with consistent effort, you'll find yourself thinking in English without even realizing it. And here's a bonus tip. Surround yourself with English as much as possible. Watch English movies and TV shows, listen to English music and podcasts, even try reading English books or articles. The more you immerse yourself in the language, the easier it will be to start thinking in English organically. Remember, fluency isn't about perfection, it's about building that direct connection with the language. So, ditch the translator and embrace the power of thinking in English. Your brain will thank you for it. Okay, so you're thinking in English now, which is awesome. But what about actually speaking it out loud? Well, that's where pronunciation comes in. Clear pronunciation is key to being understood and feeling confident when you speak English. Now I know pronunciation can seem intimidating, but don't worry, I've got your back. Let's tackle some common pronunciation challenges that many English learners face, like not opening your mouth enough when speaking or mispronouncing common words. One of the most effective ways to improve your pronunciation is to listen to native speakers and try to imitate them. Think of it like learning a new song. You listen to how the singer pronounces each word and then try to copy their rhythm and intonation. Luckily, we live in a world with amazing resources at our fingertips. Use apps like Google Pronunciation or check out YouTube videos that focus on specific sounds or accents. And speaking of sounds, let's have some fun with tongue twisters. They might sound silly, but they're like little workouts for your mouth muscles. Try this one. She sells seashells by the seashore. Or how about this one? How can a clam cram in a clean cream can? Tongue twisters are a fun way to practice tricky sounds and improve your articulation. Another powerful tip is to record yourself speaking English. I know, hearing your own voice can be a little strange at first, but trust me on this one. When you listen back to your recordings, pay attention to the areas where you stumble or mispronounce words. This helps you pinpoint the specific sounds or words you need to work on. And hey, celebrate your progress. As you practice, you'll notice yourself becoming more and more clear and confident in your pronunciation. Chapter 3. Power up your vocab, learn like a boss. Now let's talk about vocabulary. Having a wide range of vocabulary is like having a toolbox full of different tools. The more words you know, the more effectively you can express yourself in English. But here's the thing. Don't just focus on learning single, isolated words. Instead, try learning phrases and expressions. Think about it. When you speak your native language, you don't just use single words, right? You use phrases and expressions that flow naturally. So instead of just learning the word happy, try learning phrases like, "I'm feeling great today," or "I'm over the moon." These phrases will make your English sound more natural and fluent. Another tip: actively use new words and phrases in your daily conversations. It's one thing to memorize a word, but it's another thing entirely to actually use it in conversation. So, challenge yourself to incorporate at least one new word or phrase into your English conversations every day. This will help you commit those words to memory and build your fluency organically. And of course, reading is your best friend when it comes to expanding your vocabulary. Read books, articles, blogs, anything that interests you in English. As you read, pay attention to new words and phrases and make a note of them. You can use a notebook, flashcards, or even a vocabulary app on your phone. The key is to find a method that works for you and stick with it. Chapter 4. Speak up. The power of daily practice. Okay, let's be real for a moment. You can have the best vocabulary in the world and perfect pronunciation. But if you don't actually practice speaking, you're not going to become fluent. It's like learning to ride a bike. You can read all the books in the world about cycling, but until you hop on that bike and start pedaling, you're not going to get anywhere. The same goes for speaking English. The more you practice, the more comfortable and confident you'll become. But what if you don't have anyone to practice with? No worries. There are tons of ways to practice speaking English, even if you're alone. One of my favorite methods is something I call talking to myself. Now, before you think I've gone completely bonkers, hear me out. Find a time and place where you feel comfortable talking out loud, even if it's just in your bedroom. Pick a topic that interests you, set a timer for a few minutes, and just start talking in English. Don't worry about making mistakes or sounding perfect. The goal here is to get those words flowing out of your mouth. If you're feeling brave, record yourself and listen back to identify areas where you can improve. Another great option is to find a language partner. This could be a friend, family member, or even someone you connect with online who also wants to practice their English. There are tons of language exchange apps and websites where you can find language partners from all over the world. And if you're feeling really adventurous, why not join an online speaking community or an English speaking club? These communities are full of people who are passionate about improving their English, and they offer a supportive and encouraging environment to practice your speaking skills. Chapter 5. Conquer your fears. Speak with confidence. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of being judged, fear of sounding silly. These fears can be major roadblocks to speaking English confidently. But here's the thing. Everyone makes mistakes, especially when they're learning something new. In fact, mistakes are a sign that you're learning and growing. So, instead of being afraid of making mistakes, embrace them. See them as opportunities to learn and improve. Another thing that holds people back is being overly focused on grammar. Listen, grammar is important, but when you're speaking, it shouldn't be your main focus. Trying to remember every single grammar rule while you're speaking will only slow you down and make you feel more nervous. Instead, focus on getting your message across clearly and confidently. Fluency is about communication, not perfection. Now let's talk about some practical tips to boost your confidence when speaking English. First, slow down. One of the biggest mistakes English learners make is speaking too quickly. When you slow down your speech, you give yourself more time to think, pronounce words clearly, and correct yourself if needed. Second, breathe. It sounds simple, but taking deep breaths before and during a conversation can calm your nerves and help you speak more clearly. And finally, believe in yourself. Confidence is key when it comes to speaking any language, and English is no exception. Tell yourself that you can do this, that you are capable of speaking English fluently and confidently. So there you have it. 5 simple yet powerful tips to help you master English fluency. Remember, think in English, master your pronunciation, boost your vocabulary, practice speaking daily, and overcome your fears with confidence. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment or until you feel 100% ready. Start speaking today, even if it's just a few sentences. Every little bit of practice counts. Remember, the journey to fluency is a marathon, not a sprint. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and never give up on your language learning goals. And hey, if you found this video helpful, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends who are also learning English, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more English learning tips and tricks. Until next time, keep practicing, stay positive, and I'll see you in my next video.